Hi, this is Diana Sullivan, and I'm announcing a new digital pattern booklet. This one is about Bargello Lace. Bargello Lace is a really cool thing that you can do with your standard gauge machine, whether you have a Brother, a Studio Silver Reed, or a Toyota. And here is an example of a scalloped shape. This is just self-striping sock yarn, but the lace carriage creates these beautiful scallops. So here's a circle scarf. Here's another circle scarf made with a tiny chevron Bargello lace. Now these are amazingly easy to do, and I'm going to show you how it's done. This is a great favorite of mine. This one is a long scarf with a beautiful cast on and cast off, which I'm going to show you today. Here's another long scarf. Now, this video is to show a key technique in making a scarf. Here is how to bind off our Bargello sample that I knitted in the previous video. To bind off my Bargello sample, I need to be sure and end with 2 rows of the main carriage. That is 2 knitted rows. And this is going to be a tapestry needle bind off. And I need to measure off enough yarn to sew it. Now, it's a lot of yarn that I need to measure off. So I need 6 times the width of the knitting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, tiny little bit extra for luck. And it's probably more than I need, but that is way better than running out. So I've cut that yarn, and I have this ridiculously long tail. I'm going to get a metal tapestry needle, and I'm going to thread the needle. I fold the yarn over the needle and use my thumb and forefinger to squeeze the yarn into the eye of the needle. And then I do this. I fold my yarn in half and I thread my needle so that there's still going to be a tail over here on the right side. It's about a 6-inch tail. And then I need to pause a moment and get my needles in the right position to do this. I'm going to bring my knitting out in front of the knitter. It's probably easier if you don't have a ribber attached, but I do. So in case you do, you need to do this little step. And then with that done, I'm going to take a needle pusher and do something weird. So pay close attention. I'm going to, little by little, bring the needles toward me, but I'm not pushing the knitting back against the needle bed. I want all the little knit stitches to be sitting in the very tips of these hooks. Now in my case, I do have the ribber here attached, and I think it's a really good idea to cover up what I can so that it won't bother me. So I'm going to put one of my ribber covers over all this stuff. I've got it right over the gate pegs and right over the top of the machine, and I'm skimming across and just sort of opening the latches. So now I'm ready to begin sewing. I'm going to work from right to left, so let's focus over on the right side of the work. This is simple. It's just a tapestry needle bind off, and I'm going to do it with the stitches hanging from the machine. Now you could take it off on waste yarn and do it that way, but I'm pretty happy doing it this way. And what I'm going to do is work from right to left, and I'm going to start by going in the first stitch and coming out the third stitch. I'm trying not to split the yarn. And I'm left-handed, so this will be much easier for you. But I think you can see my needle went away from me into the first stitch and toward me, coming back toward me in the third stitch. And then in order to draw this long piece of yarn through, I'm holding it with my right hand and just smoothing it through my fingers as it goes in. So that's my first stitch, and I ignore this stupid little tail. In fact, I'm going to help the tail hang down by putting a clothespin on it. So that's drawn up, and now I'm going to go into the second stitch and come forward out the fourth stitch. So in, away from me, and then forward toward me. And I'm stroking this yarn to keep my strands folded. This is so easy because my yarn's coming out of the fourth stitch from the right, but wherever my yarn's coming out, I go backward to the stitch before that and go right down the middle of the stitch, which, as I pointed out, would be easier if I were right-handed, but I figure most of you are right-handed, and this would be the way to go. If you're left-handed like me, you will probably prefer to work from left to right. But I just keep doing that. I go back by one stitch, and I come out, skipping a stitch so that I'm two away from where I went in, and I stroke my yarn as I let it go in there. And it's called a back stitch because you go back and then you go forward. I'll do a couple more repetitions of this, and then I'll show you how to finish it up. So I'll be back when I've sewed across the row. Here I am with only 3 stitches that don't have any yarn in them yet, and my dangly tail that was so huge is gotten really short. I'm just going to do those last few stitches, and I'm doing them left-handed. I really should do them right-handed for you, so why don't I do that? So take a step back, go from front to back, skip one, then go from back to front, make sure I got that, got it, and just a couple more. Take a step back, back to front, and then this is my last step back. Get that needle in there. Oh, I'm so left-handed. Come on now, go in there. There we go, and then come out that last one and get my needle there. There we go. So I just have this tiny piece left, which is great. I didn't run out. That was the whole idea. Now let's take it off and see what it looks like. I'll just lift it off the needles. Now there's my bind off, and I'll just bring this around so you can get a closer look at that. It definitely looks just like the E-wrap cast on. Now I'm going to turn this thing over and pull that ravel cord out so you can see the cast on. Pull, 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 pull. Okay, ravel cord's out. And check out my cast on. Now I'm going to give this a really quick steam. I don't block these too hard, and then I'll show you the design. Here's that finished sample. The top and bottom edges are a beautiful match. It's sturdy and a stretchy edge. And here's some other samples, some of the other designs from the book. My flame stitch. my little rickrack stitch, my really wide wave stitch, which does require an electronic machine because it's a big chart. Here's just a regular Bargello. Here's a little stitch. Here's a wide chevron. It's a little more filled in fabric. Sometimes you need a more filled in fabric. Here's a little tiny close together zigzag. Here's my standard Bargello stitch. Look how different it looks in this blended yarn that doesn't have such profound stripes. And then here's another wide chevron. If you are interested in this pattern with all these designs, go ahead and look at www.dianaknits.com. And if you just want to try one, I think you have the information today to try one.